Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring our meeting to order. Ms. Deputy City Clerk, would you please call roll as council?
The Honorable Mayor Pro Tem Alex Heath.
Present.
The Honorable Linda J. Davis.
Present.
The Honorable Fannie Mae Hauser.
Present.
The Honorable Hattie Portis Jones.
Present.
And the Honorable Ulysses J. Smallwood.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll go to our first item. Would you read the first item?
The first item is going to be the Special Service District SSD discussion from Economic Development.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to provide context to tonight's discussion regarding the proposed Special Services District. Over the past several years, the City of Fairburn has been engaged in strategic efforts to envision and plan for a more vibrant, connected, and economically resilient downtown. Through the LCI Gateway and Connectivity Study, completed in partnership with the Atlanta Regional Commission and facilitated by the Sizemore Group, residents, business owners, educators, and community leaders consistently expressed a shared priority. Fairburn wants a walkable, engaging, and active downtown environment that supports local businesses, attracts new development, and strengthens our sense of place. That same priority is reinforced in Aerotropolis Atlanta Blueprint, of which the City of Fairburn has a community profile, and our long-term economic development strategic plan, which emphasizes the importance of local investment in placemaking, mobility, and downtown activation. As a part of this work, we analyze what it takes to move from vision to implementation. The studies all point in the same direction. Cities that want a thriving downtown must play a leading role in investing in it. Market forces alone do not generate the streetscape programming, maintenance, safety, or infrastructure enhancements needed to create the kind of downtown environment residents and visitors want. Major cities across the country, and many here in Georgia, including Brookhaven, Sandy Springs, Duluth, and Alpharetta, have implemented special service districts to support streetscape improvements, business support programs, trail and sidewalk connectivity, public gathering spaces, and consistent maintenance and operations. These districts have proven to be effective, flexible, and locally controlled tools that allow communities to reinvest in themselves. Some would say, what's the difference? Why not use a T-SPLOS, a TAD, or impact fees? These are all great tools for specific projects. But what you will hear about tonight is a tool uniquely suited for our downtown revitalization and redevelopment. As an economic development office, we work closely with our Downtown Development Authority, and it has been an ongoing vision of the chairman and the authority to position Fairburn to attract new investment, supporting our existing businesses and create environment necessary for sustainable growth. Establishing a special services district is one way to generate predictable revenue dedicated to downtown improvements and connectivity projects, without relying solely on the general fund. This aligns directly with the goals expressed through public input. Our folks in the public told us a stronger downtown, safer walkability, enhanced public gathering spaces, and a clear identity that reflects Fairburn's character. Tonight's presentation will outline how a special services district works, the types of improvements it can support, examples of cities that have successfully implemented similar models, and next steps, including a proposed city tour for elected officials, staff, and development authority members to see these strategies working on the ground. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. John Ernst, Esquire, who will provide an overview of the Special Services District structure, governance, funding model, and implementation considerations, and facilitate our discussion this evening. Following, there will be a brief update over the city's tour, which has been rescheduled from tomorrow in recognition of Veterans Day and tentatively rescheduled for December 3rd. At this time, it's my pleasure, Mr. John Ernst.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Mayor, council, mayor-elect, mayor pro tem, all the honors that are out there. Well, I'm an attorney. I'm also, if you guys don't know me, I'm also one of you, or I was one of you guys. I was a politician myself, unfortunately. I was mayor of city of Brookhaven. I successfully served 8 years there until term limits got me. And I'm now going about and introducing cities to some of the things that we did in Brookhaven and that other cities and agencies have done. So you have in your packet, I don't know there you go. Boom.
Yep, we got it.
There you go. Well, I also like to see it on the thing so I can follow. Historical funding strategies. Here's a list of things. General funds, general obligation bonds, PLOS, TADS, grants. You guys have heard about these over and over and over and over again. I like to highlight the last one, grants. We're living in a day and age where the Fed money's gone. Not going to get anything from the feds. We might get a little bit, you cities like yourself may get a little bit from the city, state here and there. But in the end, cities are going to have to provide for themselves. It's you know, no matter how well you know that congressman and you think they're your friends, it's just not going to come. I'd also say in a lot of ways, when I was mayor of Brookhaven, it turned out, you know, I was waiting for those grants also, and it actually kind of turned out a lot of times to be fool's gold. Money was produced to put out there. You wait year over year over year to wait for that money to come in, and while you wait, the inflation of that service or the capital just keeps increasing. In fact, I'll give you an example. In Brookhaven, we had 2 roundabouts we were going to build. One we were going for federal money, was going to be actually about $2 million, and one was going to be that we could just do on our own for about $700,000. So of course we put it out for the ARC, get that federal money for that $2.5 million. Well, we built that first roundabout. We still had some problems with Georgia Power, and there's always, you know, construction. Yeah. Got that built in about a year. That was, I just was elected, my 10th anniversary was last Tuesday, so that was 9.5 years ago. So it was built 8.5 years ago. That federal money grant still hasn't been built. It's going to be built in probably a year and a half. It's all, you know, during the normal course. And in the end, the amount of money the match is almost exactly what the amount of money we could have paid just outright in cash and done that roundabout, done that project, of one of many projects. So what I'm saying here is this is, you know, that cities that have basically fend for themselves. So what is a special service district? A special service district is a designated area where the cities provide enhanced or additional services. It is a dedicated funding source to support improvements in the programs within the district. So when you create a district, you know, there's some attorneys out there that say you can do something right outside the district if it benefits the district. I would highly recommend you do something that is completely within the district itself. So it must be done within the city. Services, as mentioned before, streetscape maintenance, beautification, enhanced policing, public safety. You know, you can pay for your license plate readers throughout that district, or marketing events. I can tell you the city of Brookhaven pays for our Cherry Blossom Festival. The music budget is solely out of our SSD. Brookhaven Cherry Blossom Festival is the second largest music festival in the state now. And the only reason I mention that, I still get to pick music. The current mayor has allowed me to still pick the music, so that's one thing I talk about. A SSD can provide any service that you're allowed to provide under Georgia law. So if you can provide it under your government, you can provide it, whatever. You know, there is the great thing about a special service district, you kind of see it in a map here of another city that I helped create one in Stockbridge, is that there is a district does not have to be contiguous and it doesn't have to be uniform. And so, yep, sorry. And it is completely at the discretion of the city council. You guys pass it by an ordinance. You don't have to have permission from a county or a city or a school system when you deal with TADs. It is solely on yourselves. It again be placed through your normal ordinances. I'll mention this in the future. It does have to be like any districts. I don't know if you guys have dealt with annexations or anything like that, but I don't know if you know if you have to have an annexation by December 31st to approve it so that it's on the tax bill for the next year. It's just like an SSD. SSDs have to be voted on and approved, and that map has to be approved by the end of the year so that you can raise funds the following year. Through your through your budgetary cycle, when you set your millage rate for your general fund, you would set an SSD rate if you so choose. Some case studies that are there. The Beltline would not be being built as fast as it's being now without the SSD. The Beltline's a great case study. I'm working with MARTA to show them about SSDs where they can do partnerships with cities to enhance transit. But we really looked at the Beltline. The Beltline had a TAD, had money coming in through a TAD. It was not going to be enough. They were waiting for federal grants, as I talked before. The amount of money continued going up and up and up, and that TAD did not produce enough. They created an SSD on only the commercial areas around that Beltline, raised another $1 million. The Atlanta is just doing the same thing with the Stitch, which is again only commercial properties within around that area to provide a park and to basically create real estate over the highway. And then of course one I can talk infinitum on, Brookhaven City Center, which is again the city of Brookhaven created a special service district that included all commercial properties within the city, did not touch any homestead residential properties whatsoever. We had added a millage rate. With that, we built the new city hall, which I think we're going to go take a look at, and a lot of district improvements. We did maintenance along GDOT right-of-way. I don't know how much GDOT right-of-way you guys have and how much they actually mow or clean up. For us, it was very little. And we use the SSD to beautify our GDOT right-of-way. Again, special, like I said, LPRs, all there are license plate readers throughout. We did drone as a first responder. We did that through the SSD. We did our some other policing things that really have enhanced our police services in Brookhaven. And then Avondale Estates has just recently created one themselves. They are not currently using it right now, but they have it ready to go. So, I talked to the mayor today about it, and they were doing a construction project right in their downtown. They didn't want to have that area with an extra millage rate at that time when they're doing that, but they're expecting to use that in the near future to keep with the beautification. Next thing, again, just as an example, Stockbridge SSD, which I did, you can see the map, how it is done. It is, how it's drawn out. I would contend that the roads in between all the commercial areas that are around are within the district. So if you do want to do some road repairs or something happened, or stormwater pipe broke in that area and you really need it, you could use SSD money. Some of the best practices that are out there is that you want to set up both immediate wins and benefits to the districts that people are very tangible to see, along with some, ability to have some long-term funding for capital intensive projects that are a little bit larger. Again, examples: enhanced policing, landscape, event support, storefront grants. I never was able to get in Brookhaven, but I wanted to get holiday decorations. Well, Halloween is the holiday. Anyway, holiday decorations within our downtown area, and that could be something that really does and helps bring in customers into the downtown. Long-term, obviously, is potentially using it for financing for gateway projects, public-private partnerships, for redevelopment, and again, if you had some grants you need for matching, then you could use that for matching. But one of the things that I've told, Stockbridge, tell you, the best way to do this is to only do projects that have already been through a master planning process. A lot of times I see cities out there, something comes up, new pot of money, for lack of a better term, and everyone in their head council gets in their head like, oh, I want to do this little thing over here. And what about this little thing? And it's best to just have what's in your master plans and your comp plan and complete the plans and get things done. This is a tool to help get things done. We're going, let's see, yeah, as I was about to say, I'm going to bring up Bill D. St. Alban from the Sizemore Group, he was, Sizemore Group, as you guys remember, it was your LCI lead on developing your LCI, and we set up a city tour for this, and he can talk about the implementations. So, Bill.
Yeah, so it's an honor to be speaking to you all again. We did an LCI
Hold on
years ago.
1 second. I think you had some questions for this gentleman.
I was going to come back, so you can have them, obviously.
Oh, okay. I just needed clarity.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I had the fortunate pleasure of going to the city of Carrollton on Thursday as a class. It's like the heart and soul, and we toured the city. And where we were, the meeting took place was in the Arts Center, which was new, and it was done by a TAD. And I was pretty impressed with that financial tool, according to the way that he explained it and the process of paying as you go, and with the taxes that, where the future tax growth in a district is used to fund improvements in that area. Like property taxes that's generated above the base year are placed into a special fund and reinvested into the TAD district, right? I'm not clear, first and foremost, where did this particular, I've never heard of it, but that doesn't mean anything. Where did this come from? How was it?
Yeah, so this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? And I want you to explain it in comparison to a TAD, if.
Perfect. So a special service district is something that is in the state constitution.
Okay.
It is, and I'll allow your attorney to always answer any legal questions, but it is a legal mechanism that is in the state constitution. A lot of times, in a sense, your stormwater fund or any other utility is, in a sense, a special service district. It provides that it's a utility there's an area that provides that service. So it's kind of like that offshoot of that. But again, to be honest, people for a while didn't realize the powers of the special service district and such. And so it started right about the Atlanta Beltline started talking about doing one, and Brookhaven, myself, was at the same time. We're starting to do that, to look at it. And it ended up, Atlanta did it just around the Beltline, just mapped the district out. And again, that's the great flexibility of this tool, is the council can decide where that district is. But to create that district, and then to show what the difference between the TAD and an SSD is, to create that district, and within the special service district, the council can add an additional millage rate to that district.
In addition to the city's already millage rate?
Yes. And then a TAD is what it says is that in that area, we freeze all the growth in that area. And whatever that additional, because taxes are a function of two things: digest and millage rate, right? So in a TAD situation, you basically tell the tax commissioner, the digest for this property or these sets of properties is going to be this number. That's going to go in the general fund. Anything above that digest, any growth in that, any additional money applied to your millage rate goes into your TAD district that get funds, okay. So, and so that's that difference. So you have to wait until, when you create a TAD, you have to wait until there's growth before you can actually do any projects in it. Give you a prime example, Avondale Estates. Avondale Estates actually has a TAD. They set up their TAD in 2007. Unfortunate for them, because by 2008, 2009, it was a negative TAD. They had, it never, and in fact, it's only within the last, like I was just talking to them today, and it's perfect timing. It was only within 4 years ago, I think 2021, did the 2007 number and the 2021 number actually meet up.
Yeah.
And so they got nothing, they went through the hassle, they set it all up, they went through the legal thing, and for 14, 15 years, they got nothing out of it. And so this is again, this is not a silver bullet, this is a tool that you can use a TAD and you could use an SSD. You can layer SSDs on top of each other. So again, they're different things, and can be for different, not even can be for the same purpose, but to get it done.
Okay, but the SSD, how does that actually work with the tax as compared to what the?
So what an SSD is, you will have if you choose to create a district, then a map, that was, in a sense, will be a digest. That district will have its digest.
Right.
And then you will, whatever rate you guys decide to apply will be just like your property tax, your current property taxes. So
This is specific to commercial businesses.
you can,
That's an important distinction. This is
Okay,
not
all right, so
homeowners.
that's, I'm just, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
let
need
me,
clarity on.
yeah, this is specific to commercial
Commercial,
businesses. This does
okay.
not touch any homeowners
Homeowners, all right,
whatsoever.
well,
so
I heard you.
so thank you very much. And I
Oh, my
wasn't
God,
clear.
I'm like, okay, wait.
No. This
So-
is only to commercial districts to alleviate
Yeah,
any taxes
it's on
on
the-
homeowners.
Yeah.
So in
That is-
Brookhaven-
Thank you, Mr. Phillips, that's very, very good.
So again, in Brookhaven, we did it district, it was only the commercial properties in Brookhaven. We did not touch a single homesteaded property. And so, and that way, those businesses in commercial areas get those enhanced services that all people can use.
So you use that money, that the tax on the commercials,
Yes.
you use that money for other improvements just in that district?
Yes, we built our Brookhaven City Center, which is our city hall, which had event space. He was the architect on it, so I could talk a lot about it. And then we built, like I said, the GDOT right-of-ways were being maintained by that. License plate readers, we have license plate readers throughout the city. Anything that's in that district, especially in the commercial areas, was there. The drone as first responders that launched from that district were there. Let's see, like I said, the Cherry Blossom Festival music events support is in the district. It was paid out of the SSD.
The council
So
defines
is it
that.
like a city in itself?
It's a
where-
district within the city, but the
with-
council defines those boundaries. You decide what's included in that district,
Okay.
right, for commercial businesses.
Okay.
And so the council decides what that district is going to be.
Okay.
Tax applies to the commercial
District.
businesses within that district, and then the services are applicable to that district.
Okay.
Correct. And so, and you get to provide what services you want to provide with that special service district. And like I said, we can go down a lot of things, but you can do different districts on top of each other. So not that I'm suggesting that right now at all, but you can, so you can have different things in that area. Another example, we used it later, the mayor after me set it up. There was a stormwater problem that was a private issue that had a little bit of public, but it was really a private issue. And the homeowners went to the city and said, we need to help solve it. And since it benefited those houses, we drew a district around, or they drew a district around those particular houses and created a special service district for the stormwater utility of that issue and bonded that money out so that they can do the thing that was a private issue, and that, in fact, you know, was able to, it was able to get done, and it went against those properties for the next 15 years.
It's getting there.
No,
I'm seeing it.
and I'd say you guys are obviously going to be better than most, but most people, when I was like talking with MARTA folks and, any MARTA folks here? Anyway, it took, it took 5 or 6 times to go over and again, and this is, you know, I'm better with questions and answers anyway, to kind of help explain, because, you know, I don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what I know. It's sort of like having those back and forth. It really get it going. So, if there's no other questions right now, I'll turn it over to Bill, and I'll come back up.
Yes. I will wait.
That was a good question. I'd like to point out the tax in the special service district. So the implementation for the Beltline part of that was a tax allocation district. But when they applied the special service district, they said, now we can accelerate it. So that the special service district is quicker. Of course, the value was created along the Beltline, so it was a lot of revenue to capture when they created it. But they went from, we don't know when we're going to get this done, we're going to get it done in 5 years. So it's a good tool. And the other example I like to use is the battery. They use the special service district. Don't know if they use the TAD. And the other difference is kind of voting wise, and I'm not politically, but I've been talking to people like you my whole career. You know, that the voting for a TAD, it takes time because you got to go through the school board. This is all within there's no necessarily public vote, but you decide. You don't have to go to the school board. You don't have to go to the county. You decide, and as soon as you decide and vote, it's done. So it's a little quicker tool politically. It's a little quicker tool financially to get things done. So pretty good tool. So you wanted me to talk about the tour or the Gateway project that we developed during the LCI, or I'll talk about. I'll start with the Gateway project. So, because I thought it was kind of a nice aha moment when we were doing this LCI. We did your original LCI, and a lot of that, one of my first town planning projects, I don't know, it's going to date myself, maybe 25 or 30 years ago, was downtown Duluth. And we did downtown Duluth, and I looked at your town, and so it was a lot like when we worked with Duluth. Can we put a green space behind it? You know, we eventually worked that out, and you got something nice going down there. But it's a scale issue. And then when we came out this time, you've done so much since our original LCI. Campus, I think, was in place, but you're now growing this way, in this direction. And I noticed my GPS taking me to, you know, right to this site. And I kept saying, what's going on with that site? And when we're doing it, and the LCI actually asked us to look at a gateway component to this site. And I said, well, and I was coaching my team because as an architect planner, I want to see things get built. So it's like, yeah, we can draw pretty pictures in the planning, but who owns that land? And, you know, it didn't take much time. We had the data with GP. It was a DOT piece of property. Well, that's interesting. That's one owner. I thought it was the school board for a while. Then you got to deal with the school board. But it's a big chunk of that land is the DOT land. So that, and they don't need it. It's throwaway land for the most part. And I think you already made some moves along that line, but that got me excited about what can we do to really make a place here, announce when you come at that major intersection where all that traffic is, say, hey, this is Fairburn, and it'd be a really cool place to live, or just come and visit and get some entertainment. So the shape of the site was similar to another town center friends of mine did. I didn't do, was up in Swanee, was a major intersection. Duluth is nice because it's more intimate in the back. But in Swanee, it was kind of a showcase a little bit away from the old downtown. They built a major amphitheater and green space on the crossroads, and then they took commercial, market rate commercial property and put their city hall, not that you would need to move your city hall, but they did put a public infrastructure in it. And so I think that would be both Duluth and Swanee, which is far from here. I mean, Atlanta traffic's, Swanee was way out there, but they'd be good to see it because they're similar and they're up the same corridor.
What about Sugar Hill?
I think Sugar Hill would be great.
I mean, did they do
And then Sugar Hill reminds me more of what we really want to show you for sure is one John and I did together, which is his City Hall on Transit, which is a gateway site into Brookhaven. And the next phase is where you're going to get the private development, but it's a beautiful kind of gateway piece on Peachtree Street. But Sugar Hill did something as more similar to what we did in Brookhaven. They did a major development. They do have a retail on the back side of it. And the interesting thing about Sugar Hill, oh, I know why you guys know. I met Troy here when I was doing the other LCI, and he's up there now as assistant manager. So, yeah, we helped Sugar Hill out with some other stuff, and I got to realize what was going on in there. It's a pretty, and this fact that the city owns all that, I mean, the whole development was done by the city. I mean, that'd be a great case study. And if we go all the way to Swanee, it's not a big deal to go to Sugar Hill. It'd be interesting to look at. And there is a nice amphitheater attached. And that's kind of the section I saw at this corner. If you had an amphitheater, I'm not saying the amphitheater is the answer, but that's people like green space. And I wouldn't do an amphitheater like Stockbridge. We're helping them out right now. Don't do, I mean, this is my opinion, but don't do a gated off one. Do one that's a park that people can enjoy, you know, all the time. And which is what we did in Duluth and what Swanee did. And I think Sugar Hill's the same way, but it's the private development when you could, or the retail and the other activity that you could put right on it that'll just draw people to the place to have, you know, if you had a two-story building and the upper floor had, and it could be multi-story with apartments above, but it could just be 2 floors, but it's a 2-story restaurant, and you got 2 floors of, you know, people dining and overlooking the amphitheater. You know, and so your private sector is stimulating. You're making that work. It's a great environment to be in, even when there's not a concert going in. The kids can run out. Usually, you don't put a lot of car traffic between it. Especially nowadays, we learned that actually works. Yes, sir.
What
Mr.
about
Heath? What's the A stand for? I should know your first name.
Alex?
Or Alex. Sorry.
Yes, sir. What about parking? Our downtown area, we are limited on parking. Before they widened 29 Highway, it was a 2-lane highway. Yeah. And you had parking on both sides of 29 Highway. Well, when they widened it, it took up most of the parking spots, the extra ones that we had. And so what about parking?
That's a great question, and that's a great mistake that DOT does over and over again, to take away those kind of parking spaces. Yep. But when I master planned downtown Alpharetta is probably one of the parking stories, and then I'll tell you Sandy Springs was the other one we could talk about. When I master planned downtown Alpharetta, they had the attitude a lot, and Johns Creek, a lot of places I planned, I think the private sector is going to do everything for them. And what Alpharetta actually had to do in the end, after about hiring a developer and then firing a developer, just like Brookhaven went with the backside of the TOD, hired and fired a developer, is it didn't work out. They had to make the first move, and what they chose was a deck. Built a beautiful deck. The mayor's a friend of mine. He wanted to model it off the parking deck at UGA. UGA grad, this beautiful deck. You wouldn't even know. It just looks like a building. Mm-hmm. And then they built all the parking, all the roads with on-street parking, you know, kind of more urban street grid in a green space. And then they got the right developer to come in and deliver. They also put their city hall here. Again, you don't have to put a city hall to make it successful. You guys have some options, you know, for that. But the parking is critical, and
It is.
And it drives the economics. Mm-hmm. And when I work with developers, there's 2 things every planner wants to do. People like me in cities, we need a parking deck, and we need retail everywhere, and we can put residents above. All those things make the rent go really high and make the numbers don't work, to be honest with you. So unless you're in Midtown, or it is growing where you could do that, you know, along the Beltline, along the Battery, you know, there's certain in Alpharetta you could do it. But it took a public investment to get it going, and we're helping Stockbridge right now. And the first thing I did for Stockbridge was help them get their TAD moving.
Okay.
And because that would generate more SSD funds, you know, to do what they wanted to do, which was a big activity center, which then I introduced them to John, and so we're able to kind of move that dial forward. But when I was coaching them on the TAD piece, I said, you know, all my developer friends, all their projects are on hold where there's a podium, and a podium is what architects and developers know you need if you're going to put retail above commercial or retail above parking, which is concrete, which the economics of residential work at stick frame. So, so they said, if you want that, you're going to have to be a partner in the deal, right? And they kept saying, we could put a bunch of retail, we get all quiet. If you're going to, you know, that was even Sandy Springs, as dynamic as Sandy Springs is. They did you know, spent a ton of money on a performing arts center in a city hall, and then they brought in private developers, and they own the land. They kept the land. The same thing happened in Alpharetta. They kept the land under it, so it's a ground lease, so it's a continuous revenue stream for you guys for infinity. But in the case of Sandy Springs, now I'm trying to think where I was going with that. They put all the parking underneath, which was super expensive. Oh yeah, the retail. So they wanted retail everywhere. And I had a friend of mine with the Seelick company that had, there was two developers, Carter and Seelick. Seelick did the retail, Carter did the residential piece of it, and Sandy Springs held the ownership of the land. And they wanted a lot more retail.
And speaking of a parking deck, are you referring to like parking garage?
Yes.
Because that's the lack of, you know.
Yeah. I think
light
to really maximize the green space, it's almost like if I drew you a picture of this is the buildings you want, they're at least 2 stories, they create a nice village center, and you can either have a green space or you can have a parking lot. But with the green space, you need to build a deck. It's almost as sad as that, you know.
Okay.
You know, there's only so much land.
Go ahead, Mr. Heath.
But when you say that if you don't have a place for customers to park, they're not going to shop, correct? So you won't need to have parking
You need to make sure the
for
parking.
the,
It's not as much as
shopping.
people think, but you need to make sure, because you also balance it. If you can balance, you know, uses that are used at different time of day, like office and retail actually work really well together. They use the parking during, nobody shops when they're at work in general, and everybody works nowadays, you know, so the weekends it opens up. So if you can balance it, your ratio normal of retail is like 4 or 5 per thousand, and if you mix it together and actually put some residential in there, it could lower it to 2.5 per thousand. And Cambridge, Massachusetts, not this is Cambridge, but it's 1 per thousand. You know, so, and that's what MARTA is talking about along their transit site is 1 per thousand. But all that is a science and a study of the mixed use that we would do kind of in teeing you up for this development. We'd figure that out for you.
okay, thank you.
Mr. Smallwood, did you have a question? Does anyone other? Okay. Go ahead, Ms.
I
Evans.
do.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
John Ernst.
John Ernest, I'm sorry. Ms. Ernest, can you talk a little bit about, okay, so you, in your introduction, you said that the SSD does not have to be contiguous, and there was one other
Uniform.
uniform. Okay, so what does uniform mean? I mean, describe what that looks like in terms of something that would have to be uniform.
So when you create your tax, you know, when you do your general obligation taxes, you set a millage rate. That's both commercial and residential. You set that one millage rate, right? That's uniformity. And since you don't have to, since you're creating the district itself, you don't have to, you can even, going kind of deep in the weeds, you can shave off different areas of the district and have different rates. But, you know, you would, and so you don't have to have uniformity without through the entire city. So you create.
Meaning that we could, we could set parameters for business size. Business size of X has one rate, and business size of another has another rate.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. And what has been the practice on the rates? Sort of, what's the max? What
yeah.
has been?
So the SSD, unlike, there is no legal limit for millage rate at all. So, but it's a political issue.
Of course.
Yeah, and so that, what I've seen, what Brookhaven, other cities are doing is basically stay within what is a CID rate. That 4 or 5 mils that a CID, they're out there usually charge. I would say that's probably, best practices to kind of go in. So at a 5 mils of rate, a property, a commercial property that's worth $500,000, which I talked to Sylvia was probably even a little bit high in terms of your average, would be paying basically $83 a month. So, it's not a huge lift on that, which is equal to $1,000 a year. But, so it is, that's, again, that's about, the general rate that cities kind of go with. That's the CIDs, another tool is a CID. A CID cannot tax an apartment complex, where an SSD can. And so up in my area, we have the Premier CID, and they kept complaining to me about that. I created a CID, and there's all these apartments coming in, and they're getting all the benefits of all the CID work, because the CID charges just commercial properties, and they got the things, they do all their great work, and they're not charging the apartments.
Can you just talk a little bit about, once your council approved Brookhaven doing this, what was the process for selling it to the businesses, getting them on board with this, and about the implementation?
Yeah, it's a great question, and probably the most important question out there. Because, again, politically, anyone, you can do this yourself, you take but it is about going out into the public. We asked, again, we had because all these projects were master plan projects that we did, or comp plan, we already had a lot of public buy-in, but we still went out again and said, these are the things we would like to get done in the SSD. We worked well with our chamber to talk to the business community about going out and talking about the SSD, and obviously the public input. It was very, very important in making sure that they felt included in it. In the end, I thought it was rather successful. We did not have a single complaint up until the one complaint we had was a major developer was about to sell their business off, and they called and said, hey, I didn't know this has occurred, this is what you were talking about, basically, and how does this, whatever, this changed it a little bit, and once we just talked to them and provided a service to that business, it all worked out. So out of I think we have 4,000 parcels. We had one person say, hey, what was this about? So again, it's really about your staff is going to be running a lot of this. And so your normal policies and procedures to do the public input and going out will still be handled within that. And so it's not another group, consultants and stuff like this. Is really a city-run effort and such.
And then one last question. So in terms of the benefits that you offered, one, did you have an idea of what it is that you were going to be offering to the businesses while you were convincing them that this is a good idea?
Yeah, again, we said, like every city, we had about $450 million worth of projects that we need. All the projects we had out there, and we had it was about $450 million in amounts. And we had an idea, the council had an idea of where, the ideas of things to do. Building City Hall was probably top of the list. But it was listening to folks about, what were the needs of the area and to try to get done. And so we did focus on that, and people agreed that we did need to have a city hall. And our city hall, when you come see it, it wasn't just a city hall. 60% of it is open space. And so it was kind of, basically built a park on top of, on a building. We created a multi-purpose conference room space and such. And then the city council and the city administration, works there during the day.
Is there an expiration date on the SSD?
Nope, there's no expiration date.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I would highly recommend, and we talked about your staff about this, that you would want to, come up with one of the bigger projects to go to bond on, so that once that happens, just in case there's any blowback on a statewide level, or if there's any changes in the law, the SSD will still be in effect as long as that bond is out there.
Okay,
I had a question.
thank you.
Yep.
I had one question
Sure.
for you. My question is, it relates to, clearly Brookhaven is on the other side of the town. My
Yeah.
question is, give me a city that's commensurate with the side of Fairburn, that is, especially where you talked about the different rates in the different parts of the city. Is it?
Well, I mean, like I said, Stockbridge is, more on this side of the town.
Yeah.
True.
And they have implemented it, and such. Avondale Estates, again, is a smaller, a city that is, their total budget's $5 million, and they have a SSD, which when they, maybe next year, once they put a millage on their SSD, will raise them, an extra $250,000 a year in the SSD to provide projects within that district.
And what was Mr. Jones asked you about the implementation part of it. My question was going to be, as it relates to, was there any, I hate to use the word, was there any flack from business owners once they were made aware of because my city?
Once we showed, so my political contention is people do not like to pay taxes, right?
Correct.
100%. But you know what they really don't like, even worse, is paying taxes and not seeing any services for it.
Yep, I agree.
And so what your goal is, and every city's goal is to yes, unfortunately, is to provide those services.
Right.
And pay, and unfortunately, those services have to be paid for by something and taxes. And so once you explain that to people and say, hey, these are the extra services, then they get really excited because, again, if there is a $500,000 storefront and the maintenance, maintenance in front of them the city helps take care of that, additional maintenance in that. For $83 a month, they couldn't hire someone themselves.
Right.
And so, again, the power of the city and the collective ability to get things done, once you show them that. Again, license plate readers. Our crime rate in Brookhaven, again, going back to Brookhaven, our crime rate's fallen down, and our solve rate is going up because of the technology we put into our policing. That allowed, no one wants crime whatsoever. No one wants crime to occur to begin with, right?
Correct.
Really, the worst thing is if someone commits a crime and doesn't get caught, because then they go commit another crime. And so, and also, you're holding that person accountable. So on a social justice aspect, we want to make sure it's that person that gets caught for that crime, not someone else. And so using the technology and for the policing is another prime example.
Mr. Davis?
Yeah, we know that nothing is perfect.
Of course.
So can you share about any downsides for
Well,
special service district?
Well, I mean, we're kind of talking about it right now, what we've been talking about. There's always political risk, but this is a tool to help get things done. And so you guys are, if you guys decide to go forward with this is, the choices you guys make, and so is there other downsides? Could be that you get some things done in one district and other people say, well, I want that too.
Right.
And you have why are they getting all this and I'm not? Those kind of conversations could be a possibility. But again, it's a tool. All the different tools that you've mentioned, TADs and SSD, CIDs and grants, they're all just different tools. And like I said, there's no magic bullet. It's a combination of it. And so, and it's budgetary wise, you have some flexibility. But that, the biggest thing is obviously political risks.
Any other members of council?
No, sir.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Members of council, we thought this was a good presentation for you to hear and to see some of the local examples of this. The city, as you know, has invested significantly in master planning in several areas over the last few years. We did an economic plan update within the last 2 years. We just completed our comprehensive plan process. We also did a strategic plan update. All of this had public engagement. And so throughout all of that, we've come up with some great master plans, our LCI Gateway study and the improvement to that. The real rubber meet the road moment is how do we take these wonderful plans and turn them into benefits for our city and our citizens.
Right.
And tools like this are examples of what other cities have done to create the actual implementation process and its funding. And at the end of the day, we all know that downtown has been a consensus priority for our residents,
Yes.
our businesses, or you as elected officials. This is at least potentially a tool we could add to our toolbox, which does not touch any homeowners, but gives us the ability to move forward and turn those plans into tangible gains and progress. So we thought it was a useful presentation, and coupled with a tour that we will schedule at the council's convenience to go look at this project in Brookhaven, we actually see what is accomplished through this type of funding, and then hopefully we can decide, or you will decide, whether or not this is a fit for Fairburn.
And if I could add to that, members of council, if you remember, I think Ms. Jones and you, Mr. Heath may have been here. We did something similar to this as relates to, and I apologize, I want to say in 2013 or 14, where we went to Acworth, Norcross, and I think all the different cities went to. And basically what we're doing is literally getting a snapshot of what we believe could end up. Matter of fact, I went to Kennesaw in particular. That's where I remember that underpass. And basically in this case, we went and looked at a city government that had already done what we were talking about doing instead of trying to recreate the wheel. And basically, in so many words, that's literally what we're doing again. Now that we've got systems in place in the last 4 years, thank God, and I want to commend members of council, current and present, former and current, a lot of the things that we've been able to put in place for us to actually consider what they just presented. So our government is actually in position to excel in ways that it never would have been, not even 8 years ago. And so because, again, a lot of protocols and things, and then from credit rating, the whole nine yards. So
You guys are situated to succeed. I see. So and that's 100%.
That was cute.
you've been waiting to use that, right?
There you go. I was like, oh, come on. No one else, don't say it. But it's so true, though, because
Yeah.
there are cities out there that if you don't do the planning, you don't have the stuff ready to go, and you just throw this on top of them, they go, sweet, where's the candy? And let me go get sugar highs on projects. In the end, nothing will get done.
Right.
Cities succeed as we, you learn a GMA over and over again. The ones that plan, and then one that says, okay, it's time to implement, it's time to finance, it's time to fund. And unfortunately, everyone loves to plan. Everyone loves the pretty pictures. No one really wants to see that bill at the end of the day. That restaurant meal was excellent. We all love to get up and just walk on out.
Right.
And in the end, you got to pay to enjoy it. And so you guys are really, I'm really excited by all the stuff you guys have been doing, all the plans I've seen, and, I was reviewing, and it's, this is a perfect example of, again, it's not going to solve all your plans or do everything, but it's just a tool to get things done.
One of several.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, members of council, I think we've got about 6 minutes left before we can adjourn, so thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bishop Lackey is here.